Hello to each and every one of you BAWLERs, and this is important news for you. Subscribe and write in the comments what you think about it. Like many modern soldiers, Russian troops have taken to social media, not to share light-hearted content like cat clips or dance challenges, but to offer sobering glimpses into the brutal realities of war. Their footage provides an unusually candid look behind the curtain of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But recently, some videos have revealed something startling. Iranian soldiers now appear to be fighting on Ukrainian soil. GoPro footage shows troops within Russian units speaking Persian, not Russian, indicating a new phase in this war, one where Iranian personnel are now part of Russia's military operations. This development reflects more than a simple alliance. It points to the profound structural decay within the Russian military. While some Iranian fighters may be volunteers, their presence suggests that Moscow has begun absorbing foreign troops into its ranks to offset a growing and unsustainable loss of manpower. The deeper explanation is a cascade of strategic failures, institutional decay, and demographic collapse that has transformed Russia from a global military force into a predator state that devours human capital to survive. Iranian soldiers are just the latest addition to an already troubling mix that includes North Korean troops, convicts, and untrained recruits. This pattern underscores how Russia's military crisis has escalated beyond repair and signals a dangerous shift in how war is fought today. The root of this manpower shortage lies not just in battlefield tactics, but in a broader story of a nation with nuclear weapons slowly cannibalizing itself. To understand how Russia reached this point, we must explore the conflict through the lens of military demographics. Initially, it wasn't foreign fighters who paid the price for Moscow's strategic hubris, it was Russia's own soldiers. When Putin launched the invasion in February 2022, he relied on a core force of around 150,000 elite troops, supported by a total standing army of nearly 900,000. These forces, hardened by years of combat in Syria and elsewhere, were expected to achieve a swift victory. But that plan crumbled within weeks, and Russia found itself locked in a war of attrition it hadn't prepared for. As Ukraine repelled the assault on Kyiv, Putin escalated troop deployment, increasing personnel levels by 60%. However, the quality of these reinforcements plummeted as they included thousands of prisoners and newly conscripted civilians. The result was a staggering drop in combat effectiveness. Russia's elite forces were gradually replaced with undertrained and poorly equipped fighters, akin to a professional sports team being swapped out for amateurs and then for whoever's willing to hold a ball. The Wagner Group's prison recruitment strategy, launched in mid-2022, marked the first major pivot. Within months, tens of thousands of convicts were promised pardons in exchange for surviving a 6-month deployment. By the end of the year, Wagner had over 50,000 men in Ukraine, most of them criminals, accounting for roughly 20% of Russia's fighting force. The speed and scale of this shift exposed how severely depleted Russia's military had become. By 2023, Wagner ceased prisoner recruitment. It wasn't due to success, but likely because of recruitment burnout and skyrocketing casualty rates. The Ministry of Defense took over in October 2022, forming Storm Z units made up of criminals given less than 2 weeks of training before being deployed. These units, initially meant to be elite forces, quickly devolved into penal battalions thrown into the deadliest sectors. After exhausting domestic convicts, Russia turned abroad. In October 2024, over 10,000 North Korean troops were brought in through a military pact comprising a fifth of forces in the Kursk region. Poorly trained for modern warfare and unfamiliar with open terrain, they suffered extreme losses. By April 2025, estimates suggested over 5,000 casualties. As North Korea's troops were sidelined, new reports began to surface of Iranian fighters joining the fray. This sequence, from professional army to mercenaries, then convicts, and now foreign soldiers, marks one of the most rapid and dramatic military deteriorations in modern history. Russia isn't adapting, it's substituting bodies. Even with one of the world's largest militaries, the reliance on foreign personnel reveals an army struggling to maintain operational capacity. Relying on foreign fighters isn't just unsustainable, it's dangerous. Armies require cohesion, shared language, and doctrine. Once Russia began importing fighters who couldn't even speak Russian or English, coordination broke down. Ukrainian intelligence reported chaos among Russian ranks as North Korean soldiers arrived in Kursk without translators. One translator was expected to serve 6 soldiers, meaning that over 600 interpreters would be needed. Miscommunications became deadly. Friendly fire incidents, like one involving Chechen and North Korean troops, resulted in multiple deaths. These weren't isolated mistakes. They were the result of systemic dysfunction. Cultural and tactical mismatches led to disjointed operations and senseless casualties. But from Putin's perspective, foreign troops served a strategic purpose, preserving Russian lives by sacrificing others. The deeper problem is structural. Russia's military doctrine, largely unchanged since the Soviet era, emphasizes centralized command, mass mobilization, and an acceptance of high casualties. This approach may have worked defensively but falters in modern offensive warfare. Without integrated support from air and naval forces, Russia's ground troops have been isolated and overextended. Despite a massive budget, the Russian military remains crippled by corruption. Much of the funding vanishes through fraud. Training is inadequate. Equipment is often non-functional. Officers are discouraged from innovation. Instead of evolving, Russia clings to outdated tactics against an opponent using modern tech and real-time intelligence. Meanwhile, the cost of war isn't borne equally. The Kremlin avoids conscripting from affluent cities like Moscow or St. Petersburg. Instead, it recruits heavily from poor, ethnically diverse regions, offering inflated salaries to communities with no better options. Some have no choice at all. Draft evasion requires fleeing the country. Russia's middle class has responded by leaving. Around 1 million educated Russians have emigrated since 2022, taking with them the skills and dissent that might have challenged Putin's regime. Those left behind are either too poor to escape, too old to fight, or too loyal to resist. The population is shrinking and birth rates remain disastrously low. This brings us back to foreign troops. Their use isn't just desperation, it's necessity. Russia lacks the people to wage this war, and this dependency mirrors its broader geopolitical decline. Today, Russia leans heavily on Iran and China, not just for weapons and soldiers, but for basic technological and economic survival. The January 2025 strategic pact with Iran, a 20-year deal, cemented Russia's reliance on Iranian drones, missiles, and manpower. Meanwhile, China supplies crucial tech in exchange for steep discounts on Russian energy. This isn't partnership, it's dependence. Economically, Russia is behaving like a developing nation, exporting raw materials, importing finished goods, including arms. This decline poses global risks. Russia still holds the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. As its conventional military weakens, the temptation to rely on nuclear weapons grows. A cornered Putin could make unpredictable and catastrophic decisions. Why continue the war? It's not just about territory, it's about people. Ukraine's 40 million citizens represent a demographic lifeline for Russia. Their integration is easier than managing Russia's internal minorities. This mirrors Soviet-era policies of population transfer after WWs. The abduction of Ukrainian children, 19,000 missing by March 2025, is part of this broader demographic strategy. Conquering Ukraine solves several problems for Putin. It erases a Western-aligned neighbor, grants access to vital resources, and replenishes Russia's workforce. That's why peace negotiations are futile. Putin isn't simply redrawing borders, he's trying to salvage Russia's future. In the end, foreign troops on the front lines are symptoms. The true disease is Russia's systemic collapse. The question remains, does this dependence mark the end of Putin's empire, or could it buy him enough time to achieve his objectives? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.